Hello everyone, welcome to this webinar today. I'm Francis Sealey from Enfield Voices and GlobalNet 21, and these are one of the regular webinars we do, but today we're going to do something different. We're going to look at a particular local area and the way they've set up a festival. And we're going to look at the Palmer's Green Festival, which has now been going for many, many years, and we'll talk about that soon. And we're also going to look at something special that started last year only and turned out to be quite a success, we think. And that was Speaker's Corner, where people came along. We had about 10, 11 events during the day where people talked about a whole series of social and political issues, and the audience asked questions. Now, we've got 3 people with us today. You can see them here, I hope. One is Karl Brown, who has been involved in the festival from almost when it started, or even before that. And Sept as well, Sept Yiannakas, who is involved in the Speaker's Corner and worked with me and others in developing it last year. So thank you for joining us. And if any of you are on our system and you want to type in questions, you can type them in the left-hand corner, right-hand corner rather, where I've just put here down so you can see it. And if you're on the Facebook stream, you can type in the comment box and we'll try and pick up what you're saying. Okay, Karl, let's start with you then. Let's get into it. Let's talk about the festival. Tell us about the festival this coming September, which is September the 1st. What do we have in store this year?
This year, what we've got, we're hoping to have as good a festival as it was last year. We had great weather, we had the 100+ stalls, lots of exhibitors, and many thousands of visitors. The feedback was fantastic. We've taken the lessons from that, and we're going to try and repeat it. I think one of the big things we did last year was we moved the location of the festival a little bit more towards Alderman's Hill. Feedback of that was great. We're going to repeat it. We had some new things last year. We had the pop-up music stage, which complemented the band's music. That was an experiment. It worked fantastically well. So great response from people who want to play on the pop-up stage. Speaker's Corner was an experiment last year. Worked really well. So we'll carry on with that this year. Other than that, you'll get much of what people have learned to love over the years. We'll have the dance zone with world champion dancers. You can get a free lesson from world champion dancers. We'll have the bandstand, music and live music and dance stand right through the year. We'll have the fun fair. We'll have the dog show. We'll have the cycling super hub. And that's obviously cycling and active travel is a big thing in Enfield now. And the tennis court area, we'll have Dr. Bike, Healthy Streets, Better Streets for Enfield, Cycle Enfield, a whole group try a bike in that one area. The art zone, which is run by iCut from Starfish on that end of Alderman's Hill. Some like 40, 50 local artists where you can see their work and in cases buy their work. Food right across festival. Again, we won't have a food zone. We spread it across so people are encouraged to walk zone to zone, and stalls spread across all the zones. The one thing we will be repeating again is our community friendship zone. This was set up by Jean, who's a festival volunteer for many years. She's also chair of Ruth Winston Centre. And a few years back, we had a specific zone. Now we spread stalls out, and this is very much focused on third generation people. So we have Age UK, Mind, University of Third Age, Citizens Advice Bureau, Health Watch Enfield, and similar equivalent groups for well-being, health, spread across the festival. So it's a big mix, hopefully, for everyone.
Okay, so that sounds, pretty impressive, and I know how big it is and how successful it is, and it's for everybody of all ages because there are different things happening there. What's interesting, though, and you told us this story last year, and it's worth telling us it again, how it started. It started, didn't it, because one little girl wanted to perform.
You're referring there to is Philip's daughter, Molly, friend of my own daughter, Megan. Molly, who's now got her own little daughter, and Lila, who's about just her first birthday. And Molly wanted to sing on the bandstand. So Philip, what did he do? He wrapped a whole festival around the idea of Molly singing on the bandstand. So great story. Molly went on. She studied at Chicken Shed, and she's now doing some great work in the area in Tottenham. So it's a great little story. 12 years ago, I think, or more, that must have been. Molly singing on the bandstand. She's sung at a few festivals after that. I don't think she's sung for a couple of years, and she's certainly busy enough with Lila that I'm not expecting her on the list this year. But we do have, I should say, a couple of people I'm terribly excited about listening to this year on the bandstand. A couple of teenagers at the Brit School, Solana and Gabrielle. They're opening the bandstand music. We like them so much, they're going to play there for about half an hour, and we're going to put them on the pop-up stage as well in the middle of the afternoon. And if you think back to the last Brit School attendee we had at festival, that was Freya Ridings about 3 years ago. And since when, Freya's gone on to an American tour supporting Hosier, a huge UK tour. Couldn't get her off the telly. She's on the radio all the time, just released her first album. So fingers crossed, this young teenage couple, if they do great things as well, I'd love to think they'll come back to festival in 5 years' time, break their world tour, and do a couple of songs for us on the bandstand. Let's see. But I would certainly say go along and see them.
So that's interesting. You have a lot of music, and it all started because one girl wanted to perform. And Philip, I know, started this with you and others as well. And it's a great story that his daughter generated a whole festival in Palmer's Green, which has gone from success to success. And just before we go on to Sept, what time does it start and what time does it finish?
It starts at noon and it finishes at 7 o'clock. So noon or 7. Obviously, it's a public park, so the park will be open before that. But our license actually runs from 12 till 7. So the things, the dance and so on, that's the main time. We'll be there from before that till after that. So come along and enjoy it. It's free entry.
You and Philip asked Sept, didn't you, some time ago, if he was interested in Speaker's Corner, and you got in touch with me. What made you want to have a Speaker's Corner?
Yeah, no, well, my wife and I, who live in the area, wanted to contribute. We've been to the Palmer's Green Festival as guests in the past and really enjoyed the experience. Thought it was a fantastic platform to bring the community together. And what we thought was missing was an element of community engagement where a number of views can be discussed and shared. It's a similar format to what we have seen at some other festivals that we have attended. And I thought it would be a fantastic idea to have a platform within Palmer's Green Festival to connect different parts of the community in order to create debate about important topics that affect the local neighborhood. Last year was definitely an experiment, and I think Philip and Karl were very encouraging and supportive for us to trial the concept.
When Sept was asked to do the Speaker's Corner, which is great, they then contacted me, and we thought we would do a session where we had a part of the festival dedicated to people getting up, talking about a whole series of things. We had, people talking about mental health. We had people, we had a couple of art sessions, a poetry session. We had Meet the Councillors. We had Meet the MP. We had our London Assembly member come along talking about community safety with the police. We had something on education, something about high street regeneration, and it went on all day, and it went really, really smoothly, and it was successful, I think. Do you think it went successfully last year? How did you feel about it, Sept?
I thought it went very well. It was interesting to see where the public really found interest, and I think that the breadth of the offer that we covered so many different areas. I feel like there was something for everyone. And what was really encouraging to see was people dipping into Speaker's Corner during the day, dipping out, going and enjoying the rest of the festival, and coming back when something found their interest. Very encouraged that probably the largest crowd that we had was during the Meeting the MP session, and also Meet Your Local Councillors. Both went extremely well. I thought Clive Coleman, who's back again this year, did a fantastic job in interviewing our councillors last year. Obviously, he has a great breadth of experience being a BBC legal correspondent and a journalist in his own right. I thought it was a great success, and we were probably helped by the weather. It was a beautiful day to enjoy the debate. And I think probably the highlight for me was also something a bit different, which was Samuel Patrick last year, who is an autistic artist who finds relief through his art, who explained his life story and how art has really been an enabler for him to deal with his condition. It was an inspiring discussion, and I think he will also be at the festival this year selling art, so you should definitely come by.
Yeah, and Clive Goodman, as you said, will be there this year. Clive Goodman will be again here on September the 1st, and he's going to run again the councillor session and also meet your MP. So he'll be questioning both of those people as well. What was interesting for me about the Speaker's Corner was not just the events we had, but there were spin-offs. I mean, you don't always know them all, but one we did find out about, and that is we held a session in High Street Regeneration. A couple of people came along to that, and they got so sort of motivated by that. They thought we should try and do something here in Palmer's Green. And so they started the campaign, Clean Up Your High Street. And we all know that that as a result of that, they had several meetings, then they had a whole day put by, a Saturday, where they got volunteers together, a huge number of volunteers who then started, you know, clearing up graffiti, cleaning up the high street and making the green lanes in Palmer's Green look really good. And I know, Karl, that you said that idea has been going on for some time, but the catalyst was the Speaker's Corner. I mean, do you think that was a successful thing to have happened, Karl?
Oh, I think absolutely. The High Street's been an issue for the Residents Association, for residents of Palmer's Green, for the Business Association for over a decade. It's probably over 10 years ago since I was giving a series of presentations. Must be. We had a Tory council at the time, 2 ward forums about this, giving views of what local residents were thinking, and there were some embryonic plans in place then about doing up the fronts and above the shops, some of the things which have been picked up later by one of the groups. And it's great that Speaker's Corner was able to, you know, energize a handful of individuals to form, I think it's the Palmer's Green Action Team. There was a bunch of mums from Hazelwood School, and Claude was doing some great stuff, Natasha was doing some great stuff, the Residents Association were involved, I think Dana's involved, and a whole range of others have come together. It's now pretty much a single umbrella, and positive things are happening. And it's great that festival can be the facilitator of that. But, you know, there's an enormous raft of things happening in Palmer's Green. We really should acknowledge and be proud of that. This latest one, Wild Swimming in Broomfield Park. It's not festival, but again, it's a 2 or 3 local residents that picked it up, got the mayor to support it, and maybe fingers crossed in a few years' time we'll all be donning our speedos and we'll be in the lakes in Broomfield Park there as part of the festival. Who knows?
Okay, well, we'll look forward to seeing you do that, Karl. That will be your special little bit, yeah? Anyhow, I mean, if you're back with us, Soft, you went away for a while, but I think you're back now. You know, this year we've also got a full range of events, haven't we? And this time we're going to start with some music to get people there. Do you want to tell us about what you've got together to start it off?
Yeah, no, sure. So Ruth Winston Centre, which is a community group in the local area. It's a community group, I think, for over 50s. They have their own ukulele band. They performed last year on the pop-up stage. So again, was a great platform for the ukulele band to perform. Did an incredible job. Found a huge fan group in Palmer's Green. And we've invited them this year to Speaker's Corner to open the festival for Speaker's Corner. They will also perform later on in the day on the pop-up act stage again. But very looking forward to the ukulele performance as an upbeat opening.
We've also got Mary Duggan, who performed last year as well. She's our sort of, you know, poet laureate in Enfield. And she's going to not only do a small session of her own, but she's going to introduce a lot of the other sessions with a small poem. So, for example, I hope she's going to do this. She I'm not sure. But the first session after the ukulele ban will be someone from, and we just talked about this already, Clean Up Your High Street, talking about how they've progressed since then. And I'm hoping Mary will do a poetic introduction to that. And then we'll have a speaker come from Clean Up the High Street. We'll just do a small 20-minute session there just to give us some idea of what the update is. And then people can ask questions. And we ought to say, we really welcome, don't we, Soph, audience participation, that they should come along, they should make comments, and they should ask questions. And that's something that worked really well last year, wasn't it?
Absolutely. We had two roaming mics, which were available to the audience who could ask questions. And I think the best sessions were those when the audience were very engaged. Some great questions on the day. And you're right. I think that works really well. Mary Dugan did a fantastic job last year with her specific poetry session, and this year to come back at this time, introduce each session with a specific short poem relevant to the topic that will be discussed, I think is incredible. And Mary also as a local poet, I think is fantastic to be able, as a platform to promote her work as well.
We've got after that, Soph, don't we, when Mary does her introduction. After that, we've got business in the community, which is something that you're developing. Do you want to tell us about that?
Yes, last year we were missing some elements of entrepreneurship. And especially, it does tie in really to concerns around the high streets also. There is a sense of some entrepreneurial spirit required in order to start a business, be it a retail business or something else. And we'll have a panel of founders who will join us to discuss the thought process, the risks, and the experience that they have had building their own businesses. We have Mikhail Dubov, who's the co-founder of Chattermill. Chattermill is actually an AI startup. They use AI to process consumer reviews on customer websites or apps. Has been around, I think, now for about 5 years, doing incredibly well. You'll get to question Mikhail Dubov, how he thought of, founded, and ultimately created Chattermill as a business. And we also have Nick Charalambous, who is a local resident in the area, who started his own recruitment company, Know It, now about 3 years ago, incredibly successful, took a risk, started a business and made it a success. We could have one other, and I think best to keep an eye out on the website for any updates there as well. Okay.
So that sounds like a good session as well. And we thought we'd bring business and the community in because that's really, really important. Then after that, after Mary Duggan's done her sort of little, bit in between, we're going to look at faith in the community and how people have different faiths, do a lot of things that make a difference in our local community. So we're going to have Melanie Smith there from the United Reformed Church, who very strongly believes in the importance of civil society. We're going to have Mahira Began, who runs the Green Star Youth Club in the local mosque. And we'll have one other speaker who's yet to be confirmed, but we should have someone who actually works in food banks or like shelters or whatever. And we'll be looking at how they, sort of translate their faith into actually doing good. And I think that will be interesting to see. And then after Mary Duggan, we've got a session on the climate change emergency. Our local council has declared a climate change emergency. And Vicky Pite, who is a councillor, was the person behind that. She put a resolution to the council that was accepted, and she's going to do a session with us. And we'll have with her someone from XR, the Extinction Rebellion movement, and also we'll have someone from Divest Enfield about divesting from fossil fuels, and we'll there talk about that issue then. And then again, after Mary, we've got Clyde Cornwall coming on doing his 2 sessions. First with Meet the MP, which is Bambos Charalambos, who was there last time. And as Soph said, we had a huge audience for that. And I hope we will again. So Clyde will interview Bambos. And then after that, we have Meet Your Councillors. And we've got there Edward Smith, who's a Tory councillor, and he was on last year. And we have 2 new Labour councillors this time as well. Catherine Chiba, who comes from the Bowes area, and Charith Ganawardena, I hope I pronounced your name right, or his name right, who comes from the Southgate area, and he was very, very keen to do it. So they're going to come along. And what was nice about that, Clive handled that really, really well. And Edward said afterwards, I loved how councillors, different parties, came together and just engaged in dialogue. There was no, bad feeling. There was no party politics going on. They just talked about how they worked with their community, how the council worked, and answered questions together. And that worked very, very well. Then
both sessions have been a great opportunity for the public also to interact with MP and your local councillors. There's very few opportunities for people in the general public to do that. And I think around 50% of the time in both cases last year was spent on answering the public's Q&A. And I think that was amazing to see what issues are at the forefront of people who are living in the area.
It sounds fantastic. I just wish I wasn't going to be here, there and everywhere on the day, so I could sit in the audience and ask a few questions as well. A question, Francis, is it going to be live streamed for people like me who can't be there, so I can see it afterwards perhaps?
I don't think it'll be consistently live streamed, but we will do little bits of live streaming. If we could, we would live stream it, because we don't have a budget to do that. So we're depending on people helping us to do that. Okay. So we'll only have little bits of it live streamed. Not live streamed, live streamed. So, I hope you get to see some of it. But you'll be there at the beginning, Karl, because I hope you'll open it with us like you did last year.
Can I just make one point on this? The Speaker's Corner, it's a fantastic idea. It's almost a focus about the Hill Festival. You think about some of the festivals. It's we have, I think it's 106 stalls was the last I heard from Philip. It's a lot. And some festivals with a lot of stalls, it's almost like a market, so you can buy hats and shirts and shoes and stuff. We've got a little bit of that, but it's very much more we focus on this is the community. So we've got a lot of political party stands. We've got a lot of charity stands. We've got a lot of third sector stands. So it's people coming along and saying, we are your community. This is what we're about. Talk to us, join us, maybe buy a little thing, fundraising, which is kind of, you can say the Hill Festival in some ways a representation, in some ways a Speaker's Corner. So I would say to people, come along and talk and explore and meet, not just a Speaker's Corner, but everywhere when you're walking around.
Yeah, I agree. I think the whole place is a Speaker's Corner. And if you go to the political stalls or the social action stalls or the charity stalls, you really are talking to people who could easily have been on Speaker's Corner. I mean, we can't have all of them on. That's the great thing about the festival. And by the way, the last session, which we hadn't got to, the last session we're going to do is on pollution in Enfield, because that's become a big issue, especially outside schools. We have, children affected by pollution, and it's a growing problem. We've got Daniel Anderson, who used to be the deputy leader of the council, talking about that. We're hoping to have someone from Better Streets talking about that, and maybe someone from the Boat Action Group as well. Though the last one has yet to be confirmed on that, but we're nearly there. We've almost got all of them. So, we've got a really full program. But, it's as Karl said, the whole festival is about community engagement, and the Speaker's Corner, part of that fits very much into that overall vision. So when we do it on the day, it's going to be a really busy, hectic day, and soft. We could do with some help and volunteers, couldn't we?
We could, yeah, absolutely. If you'd like to get involved, I would encourage you to go to palmersgreenfestival.org.uk. There is a contact us section in the site. You can send a message that will reach us directly. Of course, you can also contact Francis if you would like to participate specifically on Speaker's Corner. But absolutely, more volunteers the better. The entire festival is run by volunteers, local volunteers in the area, and there's never enough of them. So please feel free to get in contact.
Yeah, I mean, the volunteers for Speaker's Corner is to make sure the speakers are there, they've arrived on time. You can imagine doing 10 events with maybe 3 speakers in each event sometimes. Getting them there on time is vital. You usually have to phone them up 5 minutes before and say, are you on your way? And last year, only one arrived late, and that was only 2 minutes late. Yeah. So I think that was either lucky or very, very good.
Smooth running.
Yeah, well, I think it was lucky as well. But and I hope that luck we get this year as well, so that, you know, if there's anyone who can volunteer, can help us with that, make sure everything runs smoothly, we will welcome that. We'll have 1 or 2 volunteers, but we can do with more. And also someone, you know, to take the microphone around to the audience when speakers in the audience want to ask questions. Things like that are really important. So if you want to get involved in this really good experiment in community engagement, you know, please do. So, you know, we're getting close to the end of this now. So, Karl, let me say, you know, why do you think it's important that people attend? You know, what do you think they will get out of it?
Well, I think it is set up, and it is a community festival. So it's not Philip's festival, your festival, Soft's festival. It's the Palmer's Green Festival. So come along, meet people who live in the area, find out what's going on in the area, see what you can benefit or what you might want to contribute, expand your CV, or just have a good time. It's not going to cost you anything. It's going to be sunny. You know, my fingers are crossed on that one. And it promotes Palmer's Green as well, as a place to live, a place for businesses to come, just a general nice area. So, yeah, come along, do it. If you've never been before, give it a go.
Well, I hope you're right about the weather. I mean, last year... last year it was an incredibly hot day. In fact, it was too hot. I think I turned that pell and went home a bit like a beetroot. It was, you know, a full day of sun. I just hope we get, you know, good weather this time because it works really well. And Soph, why do you think people should come and turn up the Speaker's Corner? What would be your last message to them?
Well, I think we have something for everyone. You know, what we would hope is you'd come to the festival, you'd come past by Speaker's Corner, find the agenda points which are interest to you, and just come and enjoy a debate that is absolutely relevant to you in the local community, and also participate. This is your opportunity to engage with your local community, to engage with your MP, with your local councillors, ask the questions that are on your mind. This is your unique opportunity to participate in local democracy. You know, you should take it.
Okay, well, that's great. Well, I hope people do come, and I hope they do take part, because I think that the festival people, the committee, whatever you call yourself, Karl, were really imaginative in starting this. And I see in Mudshoot in South London, they're doing a similar thing as well. So I think what we're doing is, you know, was unique to us, but it's not any longer unique. It's happening all over the place. People are realizing festivals are, in a way, the new public square. The public square is where people meet, they enjoy, they have fun, they debate, they talk politics, religion, they do everything. They hear music. And if we can, you know, combine that all together, then we're sort of recreating something that, you know, is very, very important for any community of any kind. So, yeah. You know, I hope, you know, you all come along, and I hope you join. We have a sort of summer drink session on Thursday of Enfield Voices, so I'll make sure people know about that, try and get some volunteers there. And what I'd love to do, I wanted to do it last year, we never got around to doing it, but what I'd love to do is carry on Speaker's Corner throughout the year, so we have other sessions, you know, indoors, meetings around particular issues that are spin-offs from what we do in the Palmer's Green Festival. So I think it should be very successful. So thank you, Karl, for joining us. Thank you, Sof, for joining us. And I hope all of you will join us on September the 1st. So thank you all. And we'll end this webinar now.